are soaring flight of imagination, saturated in the movable. Removable, no excuses. You're breaking all the rules. You are brew, composed in shea butter, peppermint and honey black soap. Nas lifeline inscribed in palm, unconventional, standing 20 feet tall. You are 1969 in the syncopated. Improvisation to the metronome. You chasse too. You allow your voice to ripen before time signatures expire in measures. You origami chords. You are where 30 shakes hands with adolescents realizing you just hit puberty. Watch as red clay seeps through pores building pyramids past prime. You are prime at 44. All brass, double bass, two drummers, three electric pianos, and percussionists all saying forget it at once.
Hey, hey, hey. We are back, y'all. We are back for another episode of All About Our Liberation. And if you don't know who I am, it is your girl, Heather Byrd, visionary founder and CEO of Byrd's World Publishing, where we are on a mission to empower individuals, especially women of color, to write and publish their brilliance so they can turn their message into a movement. And today, y'all, I am so excited to invite you to this podcast of All About Our Liberation as we work collectively to reclaim and rebuild our way back home. This podcast is inspired by the upcoming anthology, and we are extending the conversation so we can transform on the page and in person. Together, we create permission to write, to rest, and to remember who we were before the world got its hands on us. So get your people in the room. Make sure you tag, share, and leave a comment so we know who you are and where you are coming from. But before we get started, as y'all know, I would like to send a special shout out to the network that made this opportunity possible for us to have this conversation. All right. So let's take a quick second. All right. Quick second to acknowledge and for me to introduce the female solution. Y'all give it up for the female solution. All right.
Women have the power to transform this world. We can end crime and violence if we all agree to do one thing: share. Let's share our wisdom, share our time, share our talents, share our finances, but most of all, let's share our love. This is the female solution.
And we are back, folks. I am so excited for you to be in this space with us. And I just want to remind you, if you know someone who needs to be here in the room with us, make sure you are liking, you're commenting, you're sharing, you're tagging them, getting them in the room so that we can have this conversation beyond this space. It's not just about the moment. It is about how these conversations can ripple onward. All right. So y'all know what this is. If this is your first time here, one of the things that we like to do is make sure that we have the opportunity to ground ourselves before each episode. So I would like to create the space to pause, to ground, and to honor our ancestors and all of their wisdom. So if you could do me a favor, if you are in a space where you feel comfortable, please close your eyes and just take a moment and scan your body. See where some of the tension might live, where some of the joy may live, where some of the anxiety might be. And I want you to locate a part in your body that needs a hug the most. And once you have that spot, I'd like you to take a nice deep breath in for me. And out through your mouth. Deep breath in. And let's hum it out.
I want that hum to take up as much space as possible. So let's go ahead and take another deep breath in. And hum out. One last time. Nice deep breath in. And a deep hum out. And whenever you are ready, you can feel free to open your eyes. And I would like to take a moment to introduce our quote for the day. I like to bring in folks who have shifted the way I look at life, shifted the way I've looked at my art and my writing, and bring them into the conversation. So for today, I would love to welcome you all into the conversation and the quote by Ntozake Shange, who, when I tell you, when I was first introduced to For Color Girls Who Have Considered Suicide When the Rainbow Was Enough, it changed everything for me in terms of my trajectory and my art and my writing. And so the quote for today is, I found God in myself, and I loved her. I loved her fiercely. Okay? So again, that is, I found God in myself, and I loved her. I loved her fiercely. So with that quote, I would love for you all to consider, how do we begin to find the God in ourselves? I'm sure the conversation that we are going to have today is going to roll right into that conversation. All right. So we're going to take a quick commercial break. And when we come back, we're going to have some deeper conversations around that quote and that question. How do we begin to find the God in ourselves? So don't be shy. Make sure y'all are in the chat. Let us know what you think and what's coming up for you for that question. And we'll be back.
What's up, guys? It's Osada, the host of the Gathering of the Griots podcast, part of the Female Solution. Want you to join us every Tuesday morning from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. And guess what we do? We interview authors of the Soulful Chicago Book Fair. The books, the experiences, the lifestyles, all of it with fervor. So be there right on the Soulful Chicago Book Fair YouTube page or on the Female Solution Facebook page. We look forward to having you and all our literary essence. Peace.
Everything we're made of contains light. From the sun that feeds our world to the energy that flows within us. With LifeWave X39, we've found a way to put that light to work. With X39, we achieved something remarkable in the field of wellness and science that others could not. By utilizing LifeWave's unique patented technology, X39 uses light to elevate GHK-Cu, a copper peptide known to support overall health and wellness. Unlike traditional light therapy, X39 uses the body's own infrared light to naturally increase vitality. By gently stimulating the skin with light, our non-invasive, non-transdermal X39 patches help you conquer your active lifestyle and pave a new way to vibrant health.
And we're back. And if you're just now joining us, welcome to the 5th episode of All About Our Liberation, the podcast where we work collectively to remember, reclaim, and rebuild our way back home. Remember, I need to have y'all get your people in the room, all right? So if you haven't already tagged them and you know they need to be a part of this conversation, let's go ahead and do that work, because now is the time that y'all have been waiting for, all right? Now is the time to welcome our guests to this episode. And when I tell you, you're probably not ready. I thought I was ready when I met this woman 3.5 years ago. I'm trying to do math. I'm a poet, not a mathematician. But when I met her, everything shifted for me. So get your people here, all right? So before I bring up our guest, I want to make sure I have an opportunity to read her Oriki, all right? And if y'all don't know what an Oriki is, make sure y'all check out Lovey Ajayi Jones' book, Professional Troublemaker, where she breaks that down in chapter 1 on how we all need our own Orikis, all right? So y'all ready? Y'all ready for Leah?
if y'all ready for Leah, go ahead and type "I'm ready" in the chat so that we can see you. All right. So, all right, here we go. I'm gonna calm down so I can read this, Ariki, because I can just feel all of the excitement in my chest because I already know what's in store in terms of this conversation, and there's parts of me that has no idea, and it's bubbling up inside of me. All right. Okay. So here we go. Here we go. Leah, House of Williams, first of her name, giver of life, love, and light, catalyst for change, creator and holder of space, healer of heads and hearts, disruptor, connector, and builder, believer of justice and restoration, guardian of her communities, defier of rules, limitations, and gravity. Hold on, I got to read that again. She said she's the defier of rules, limitations, and gravity. Also the spreader of wisdom and witchery. Y'all, give the biggest round of applause that you can possibly give. Be in this chat and help me welcome our guest, Leah Williams, to the stage. Hey, Leah.
Hello, community. Hi, Heather.
Hey, you, my dear. How's it feel to have somebody else read your Oriki out loud? Like,
It's different, right? Like, I say it with a level of confidence and power that just, like, I know this is who I am. And then to have it reflected back to me in another voice feels so very intimate and precious. It's a gift. I was like, oh, so it's not just something that I have said about myself. It is now being reflected back to me as if it's also something that someone has seen in me. So it is a gift. So thank you for reading.
You're welcome. And welcome to All About Our Liberation. My entire heart is probably 3 times its size right now because I get to be in conversation with you in this setting. And I have had so many conversations with you in private, so many conversations with you in a more intimate, smaller group in person when we had a chance to meet almost a year ago. Like we knew each other for like 3 years. And then the first time we met was last January in person, like last January 2025. It's still hard for me to say 2026 out loud. I'm getting used to it, right? So yeah, I'm ecstatic today. And so if you see me just hopping around and doing some dances, it's because of all the joy that lives in my heart because you are here, right? So to kick us off for today, I would love if you could give us your initial response to the quote that we talked about today, right? So it's from For Color Girls Who Have Considered Suicide When the Rainbow Is Enough by Ntozake Shange. And the line is, I found God in myself and I loved her. I loved her fiercely. How do we begin to find the God in ourselves?
I love that question because you and I are Black women. We are God embodied. Our bodies create life, and we balance justice on our shoulders. That is God work, right? I cannot begin to describe the gift that it is to be a Black woman. I cannot put into words what it is to be in community with other Black women, knowing that we are doing God work. Our existence is defiance. Our survival and our lineage is God work. Like, this is God work. We are the embodiment of God and God's greatness. How do we begin to find it in us? It is when we begin to strip away the assumptions, right? We begin to strip away the prescriptions that have been placed upon our bodies. It is when we begin to just be. The being is really hard, especially after all of the prescriptions that we've been given. Well-behaved, articulate, accessible to all, even those who do not deserve us.
Come on.
Just, yeah, it is when we honor our being. It is when we are in our self-work. It is when we are honest that this needs to now be a boundary so that I can continue to do the God work that I'm designed to do.
Oof.
So I think that's how.
Oof. And that gets us closer to our liberation. Like that being like you're talking about allows for us to show up without the weight, allows for us to show up without the masks, allows us to show up without second guessing ourselves and shrinking and knowing who we are as people without someone trying to tell us that we're not. And when they do, we know without a shadow of a doubt that is your problem, not mine. How I'm showing up is the way that needs to be shown in this moment. And that being, even though to be is only 2 letters, it's such.
Oh, listen, let me help you understand something.
Come on.
When there is the gift of time and space, because we've been robbed of it most of our existence, when there is the gift of time and space to be in my own presence, right? To be in my body, to be in a space that is curated just for me. I am like limitless. I am infinite. I stretch, I take up space, and I take up the space I'm supposed to take up, right? It's not a thing that I am over here spilling and taking all the air, but I am actually sitting and being part of one of my personal practices is my grounding and my meditation. And the grounding that you did, right? The inhale and the exhale and the om at the end, when you can feel it vibrate in your chest. So it's not just in the throat, but down into the body. You can actually feel it through the legs and across the back when it is a deep om. And that is that connecting energy. You're like, and I am being. And then when I am being, then I take up the right amount of space. Exactly. And there are no questions, right? There's no doubt about how I've been designed to do so. And I love when Black women take up space. Like, it's my jam. It is like my
your whole body lit up. You're like, it's like,
because you're supposed to, right?
Yeah.
And again, we're starting to peel away prescriptions. This was written for you. And this is how you behave, and this is how you show up, and this is how you speak. And then we decide, and no longer will I. You know what? I don't want to show up like that anymore. It's as simple as wearing my natural hair instead of going through the process of presenting the mask that has been identified as professional. It is as simple as, and I'm not wearing makeup because I like my face, and we're going to do it this way. And I wear this face every day, and I appreciate the way this face shows up in all its crevices and wrinkles, its roundness, its melanated glow. I'm allowed to, and I will. And honey, when we got enough of us saying, and I won't,
and I won't,
right? And I won't. Listen. That kind of action all day.
Look here, and this is the type of rippling effect I am perfectly fine with starting. This is the good trouble. This is what I want to start. This is what I want to start. Yeah. Oof. So look here, we're already deep into conversation just off of the quote and the question. So if we are over here having this conversation, I'm gonna need y'all in the chat also letting us know where your mind and your heart is when it comes to this quote and this question. But I'm going to move us along a little bit, right? Because there's so much that is here. One of the things that I absolutely love to do on All About Our Liberation is to create a space for our guests to come in and read a letter to a sister resistor. Sister resistor is someone who we identify in our community as someone who is literally changing the world with their voice and their words and turning their messages into movement, right? And it's not every day that you have an invitation from someone to be. It's not every day that someone writes a letter to you and invites you into the person you've always meant to be, and or bring up questions that could that come up on a regular basis that you might be a little too afraid to ask someone. And then you hear someone say it out loud and you're like, I have that. That's me too. Can we talk about it? Right. So it's the permission through this letter writing. So I would love for you to just invite us a little bit into your world. And if you don't mind reading your letter to a sister resistor for us.
Absolutely. Okay. This is a gift. So, worth the wait, WEIGHT, and worth the wait, WAIT. A journey to whole. As I wait for the world to find me on its way to healing, on waiting, on wait. I've been waiting 45 years to address the weight, WEIGHT. That was never mine. The weight of service, the weight of being seen, the weight of being heard, the weight of the chance for my work to be affirmed, the weight for being and all the work I've put in to be. The weight. The dichotomy of the weight of waiting. God, I feel like I have done nothing but wait for my turn, for my time, for my healing, for my breakthrough. The weight of knowing now it is not the time. The weight of knowing that no is not never. I'm tired. The weight is too much. The dichotomy of the discipline of waiting and the weight that is the desire that I have that has been waiting for so long. Delays are not denials. And being able to sit with the weight shifts and shapes us. The weight was just enough weight to build strength. The weight was just enough weight to build muscle. The weight was just enough weight to build stamina. The weight was just enough weight to build discernment. The weight was just enough weight to build strategy. It is the appreciation of the weight. It is the appreciation of the weight. The gift of no longer holding my stomach in. The acknowledgement that I am wearing this weight well. The grace that comes with waiting. Dear sister, you are worth the wait. You carry the weight well. You maintain the weight while waiting your turn. And now it is time. No longer waiting for affirmations, knowing that you are no longer settling, that you only attract the energy that vibrates at the frequency of your highest self. And selfishly, honey, you pursue that frequency. To be clear, you are not a Band-Aid to be used as a temporary solution to a wound that requires much more than just a little bit of attention. You are a salve. You are healing. Being in your presence is healing. Sharing time with you is better than good for one's soul. You, my sister, were worth the wait. That's my letter.
I don't know what to do. I wanted to listen. I wanted to hear it again. I wanted to take notes. There's a spot like right here in me that's like balling up and wants to like good cry.
Yeah.
Because I feel seen. There's so much happening in my body right now. And I loved every single moment of this. Wow. Wow. If y'all haven't already, what the lines? Being in your presence is healing.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You are worth the wait.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what to do because all of me want you to read it again.
Well, let's journey through it, right? Let's journey. So
let's exhale first. Hold on, let me grab my water. I need a sip of water. I need.
Okay. Okay. So when I received the invitation to join this community, to be in conversation with you, there was a pause in my body. I was like, oh God, wait a minute. And there was in that moment, the prescription of what are you ready? Right? Do you have enough expertise? Is this really what you should be doing? And there was then, there was the prescription, and then there was the weight of the prescription. So how it fell on my body, how it rested in my bones. I was like, oh, this is huge. And it's appropriate, right? So of course, when you ask the question, you're like, what's going on? I was like, it's the weight. It was the WEIGHT. It was the weight of the invitation. That was so beautiful. And then there was the weight of the prescribed expectations that were no longer those weren't things that you assigned to me. I know that systemically they were things that have been assigned to me, but those were not words that were like delivered in your invitation. And I immediately picked up this weight.
Yeah.
And I held it and I allowed it to sit on my chest. And I said, oh no, this isn't it. And I was like, wait, but I've done strength training before.
Oh, wait, time out. Not I've done strength training before. Come with the metaphors. Okay, come on, keep going.
So I know that I need to add something to my body in order to strengthen and potentially lose something that I no longer need or want. And so that work that we begin to do is very much so in line with what our life's work is, our God work is.
Yes.
Right? I have to take on the weight of showing up in my wholeness, being all the way seen in my melanated greatness. Dare I say my God body? Okay. Right? Showing up in my God body and being seen by a world that has done its due diligence in strategically tearing me down.
Absolutely.
And I said, no, thank you. Right? I said, no, thank you. But there was still the weight. So there was a part of it that I had to start to talk through. Hey, sis, what's really going on? I'm concerned about being seen. That's what I had to talk about. I'm concerned about being seen. Well, why are we concerned about being seen? Let's get curious about that.
That's one of my favorite lines from you, by the way. Anytime there's a question that comes up, you say, let's get curious. And we're not in a society that allows us the time and the space all the time to be curious. We have to fight to be curious and to pause and to wait so that we can really understand what is going on with us. So every time you say that, I'm just like, oh, let's get curious. Let's play. Let's explore. Let's write.
Yes. And the curiosity allows me to place a clear distinction between the expectation that is either my expertise or my silence.
Whoa,
it doesn't allow
it again.
Yes. So that right, like that curiosity places a distinct line between what is true and the prescription or expectation for me to either be exceptional, right, the expert, or silent.
Yes.
Right? That's that either or thinking. Ooh. No, friends. We are expansive beings. We hold multitudes in our bodies. So I have multitudes and expansive opportunities here. It is not just one way. It is potentially all the ways, and all the ways that are designed specifically for me and how I show up in the world. So that is something that let's get curious, because then I stop the weight of the prescription that was not for me. And that's one of the lines I said, You have maintained the weight well.
Oof.
And you waited well. And now it is your time. And you no longer are waiting for the affirmations. You know, like I stopped and I got curious and then I turned to my truth. I didn't have to worry about this piece, right? I got to respectfully dismiss this or disrespectfully. We can put a little razzle dazzle on it. I love it. I love it.
Word.
So like, that's a part of it. There's this idea that I can train with these expectations, but then when I take that, when I take that weight off, like any kind of other resistance training, boom, I fly.
Yes.
I am a defier of gravity at that
yes.
point, right? I am lighter because the body has been trained in the nonsense, and I have released myself from that nonsense, right? And now I am flying. It is now my gift to be in flight, and I won't give that up for anyone. So I want to be in a position. I desire and I work really, really hard to be in positions where I can remind women who look and live like me, no, baby, we are designed for greatness, right? Genetically, physically, all of the things in all of the ways. And there's nothing for us to be apologetic about. There's nothing for us to be silent about. And sometimes there's really nothing for us to do.
That part is hard to not do when we've been taught to always jump in, to save, to do the, we're going to let you play in the mess that you created.
Yes, I will.
Might sip our tea in the process.
And wait.
Because we've been carrying the weight for so long. You're just now getting introduced to it and then expect us all to jump and move because you said so.
Or train you, right? Or train you on how to manage the weight.
To respond. Yeah, how to manage the weight. It is so wild to experience this letter. I'm going to have to go back and listen to it again. Right. But it is so wild to experience this letter because it takes me back to the moment that I decided to do this podcast. Right. So you've been hearing about the project that we've been working on, All About Our Liberation, a manifesto for women of color, Volume 1, all about remembering. Right. And we're in the process of writing this, but it came out of witnessing the transformation that the women are experiencing in Byrd's world and how we are actively dismantling the traits of white supremacy in our everyday lives so that we can show up and just be. And what that being is doing for us is having a rippling effect, not only with the other women in the group, but with our families, right? We're showing up in ways where we get to let folks know how we deserve to be treated. We start to realize how we can fly once we release that weight. Like, I love that analogy of the body weights. And I've been in training before, right? This is why we can propel ourselves forward. And so when I think about where the anthology started and to think about how it's expanded into this podcast and then to hear your letter, my goodness, that is a through line that I am always thankful for that happens when we're in conversation with one another, right? So you have been so present and have been able to really break down and allow us to get curious in all of the ways that we can be curious. I would love for you to just talk a little bit about your work, because your work is one of the most unique and needed approaches to healing for Black women that I have ever witnessed, I have ever experienced in my whole life. I have not seen this, but I know deep down this is what I've been looking for ever since I've been looking for healing, right? And so when thinking about all of those pieces, can you tell us a little bit about how you got here?
Here. So One, thank you. I heard that affirmation. I heard the acknowledgement, and I want to make sure that I'm active in the posture of gratitude. So thank you. It is such a journey. I believe it was already scripted for me. There was a part of my journey in education, like formal education, that sparked my curiosity around it. So I always wanted to be a teacher. I was like, I'm going to be a teacher because I had trash teachers. Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, listen, the Bhagavad Gita says on this journey, nothing is lost, like nothing. Right. So
you learn what not to do in those circumstances.
Yeah. Even in our more challenging times, even in conflict, we are shaping and being shaped. And so like to those educators, I say thank you. Right. So I knew I wanted to be an educator. I knew I wanted to be a teacher. And then in high school, I had the gift of being able to take my first psychology class. And so I was like, ooh, I love this for me. I get to get curious about like how people work, like the inner workings of people. And of course, that's not how it was presented, but that's how I took the lesson, right? And I think that's often what my hope for education is, right? Is that we will offer you information and then you will make it work for how you show up in the world and how you desire to show up in the world. So
yeah.
I took my first psychology class in high school and it got me. I was like, oh, okay. But then when you go to college, you have to select a major. And I was like, I'm going to be an education major. And then I realized how much of education I found like conflict with. And it was conflict because I was like, these are really great approaches. I love this pedagogy. And yet I can see how it does not reflect me, like my lived experience. I was just like, oh, this is some shenanigans. So I ended up shifting, right, my major. So I found all of my electives happened to be in psychology. My favorite elective, oh my God, abnormal psych, best class ever. It was just like all the diagnosis and how the brain is operating and how this impacts how others show up or how others engage with individuals who may show up in those ways. Oh, it was chef's kiss. And so I journeyed, did the formal education thing, and then found myself in a place where I was like, I'm not sure if this is where I want to be. In between there was love and there was loss, there was family, there was feuding, there are all the things that happen to you as a human being on this journey of growth and development. And there was something that always whispered in the back, like, it's not just the science, there's something else to it. There is the spiritual. And so I am the daughter of 2 ordained ministers, right? So it was big in our house.
It was in there.
It was deep in there. It was deep roots. And yet I knew that even the formal sense of Christianity, how it was introduced to me, the expectations weighted onto my being and my body did not align. It created a lot of conflict in my being. And I didn't have the language around being curious. So I just was like, I'm just going to have to sit with this level of discomfort for the sake of being accepted, for the sake of for earning my ticket to heaven. Right. And so in earning my ticket to heaven, I allowed things to happen to me. I allowed people to speak to me in ways that they should have never been able to speak to me. I allow people to rob me of my natural gifts and talents, dare I say, my joy and my peace, right? All for the sake of being a good Christian woman. And so eventually I laid that down. But as I was laying it down, something else was calling to me. And I was like, oh, these practices feel very like innate. Like I felt very natural in several different divinations. And so started with crystals, And then there was tarot. And then there were all the other components of my curiosities and my seeking. And I said, this is the work here.
Yeah.
There is the research that is, evidence-based.
Mm-hmm.
There's the spiritual. And I said, how do we quantify the qualitative experience that is the science and the spirit? And I was like, that's where this work.
Come on.
That's it. That's what gets me going. I was like, I think I can do this. This I think I can do.
Mm-hmm.
And so there is this component where I'm using peer-reviewed research, data that has been tested decades over, strategies, frameworks, all of this. I will bring it into the conversation, but then there's the human part. It's not the science. Then there's the experience, the relationship, right? Now we're getting into that social, emotional, but I can't just get insert diagnosis equals said behaviors equals, now required tools.
Right. Most of that research doesn't consider culture, doesn't consider consider experiences. It's so much.
Before the CDC was hijacked, they had these social determinants of health, and they talked about how all of these things are connected.
Mm-hmm.
And the framework that was presented, it was actually in a circle, right? Education, housing, food.
They're all connected? What?
I know. And so the challenge came with this. So the CDC, it was the Project Healthy People 2030. Baby, we got 4 years. And I'm not sure if they'll ever be able to continue that research. And that is where I think we actually started to begin the conversation around taking research-based information, peer-reviewed, evidence-based research, and plugging it into the relationship that is being human in a specific space, a specific time.
Yes.
And so those are the things. So that's kind of the overarching curiosity that I had in my body.
I love it.
And that has been percolating in my being for, I think, since my inception, right? Just down.
Mm-hmm.
And now I get to sit with women who are ready to enter their healing journeys and offer them not only the science, but the spiritual. And no, I'm not pushing any practices well, you got to use this and you should know these things. No. I sit and I experience them as a human first. You are human, minus all of the titles and the labels and the assignments.
Mm-hmm.
You're a human being. And I love that being part.
Yes. Yes.
And there we say hue, right? H-U-E. You're a human being. So there comes with that comes all these other things. And I just ask you to be in your hue, right? So what does it feel like to be in my hue? Being in my hue means that I look again at this beautifully melanated skin, that I sit in this very comfortably weighted 220 body, right? And I say to myself, and it is all good. And I wear the weight well, right? And I understand that the weight, as my body changes, the weight will be redistributed. Right. Mm-hmm. And that is so that it can sustain and maintain what is coming in the future. Yeah. And so teaching women how to do that. Right. Mm-hmm. And again, it's not a prescription. Right. No. It is literally personalized approach to wellness, to wholeness.
Yes.
Right. To healing, to liberation.
Oof. Come on. So I'm not gonna lie. There are parts of me that I'm like, man, I'm so jelly that so when I started undergrad, I wanted to be a English and psychology major. Mm-hmm. Couldn't pass the test. I am not a good test taker, but I've always been fascinated with the mind and how the mind works and how our bodies work and the decisions that we make and why we make them. And I feel like I would have also asked the same questions of how do I fit in to what I'm reading in the research and to the fact that you got to do it. I'm like, oh,
shout out to HBCUs. My undergrad was at a historically Black college and university. So I am proud alum of Norfolk State University. And so it was, it was the window and the mirror that I needed that offered me the sliding glass door. So windows, mirror, sliding glass door, that is the research done by Dr. Rudine Sims Bishop. And so she wrote this paper back in the 90s, and she was talking about literature, right? Like books. Yes. Our students need to see themselves in the books, right? They need to be able to see opportunities. So further out, what can happen in these bodies that we have. And then to slide the glass door, that could be the window, opening that up and allowing them to journey to that path, right? I got to have a bit of that experience in my undergrad. And then I carried that gift all the way through to now in the role that I serve here in a DC public charter school, right? I'm a wellness counselor and I do all things well.
Those students are so lucky.
I love my babies so much.
They're so lucky.
My whole being, I love them.
There is so much that is there. And when thinking about, I want to ask two more questions. When thinking about observing the room, because you are an observer to the depths of your bones, right? And watching you observe and taking the time to do that gives me the permission to also do the same. And I am enamored by your journaling practice.
Yeah.
So I would love for you to share just a little bit about your journaling practice and how that has helped you in being.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
We got to spotlight you for this one. You got excited. Hold on now.
It is my favorite and like absolutely worst like practice. Like it's always here. Always.
And I got to witness it always be like when she says always, this is not like kind of sort. No, like always picks up the pen and picks up the journal. And I was like, that is what I aspire to, like to have the space to get out of my head and put it onto page and make sense of it if I need to, or leave it, like
that part. So my journaling practice is stream of consciousness. So I write for the space of clearing head and heart, right? It is really important that if I am to be present, if I am to be in a position of observation, right? If I am to be whole in what I am doing, I need to let some things go, right? I need to place them in an appropriate place and then be able to journey forward. I think when I started my journaling practice, it was for the sake of like, and maybe I'll go back to it and read it and see how much I've grown. I am 15 in, and I don't need to go back. I'm okay. Because what I said was what I needed to say at that time, right? What I needed was that, again, head and heart space. I needed it. And so I place a thought in that book and I think no longer of it unless I am called back to it. So sometimes I will have a moment in my morning practice where I am journaling. One of my more recent ones that I can't actually recall in this moment was busy is not the same as productive. And so I had to get curious about that. I said, was that for me?
Yes, you go again. Get curious, y'all.
Yuck. I didn't know what that was about. I said, well, what was that about? And I realized that as I went throughout my day, I was observing individuals being busy, but not being productive. And so then I got to get curious. How do I help these individuals move from busyness, just the activity of being active, and actually get them to produce something, right? To have impact. And that probably is more the production, right? I'm looking for opportunities to help not only adults, but children, human beings, to be present and productive in what it is that they desire.
Right.
It's
Productive
not
doesn't always mean for someone else's consumption.
correct.
It
Correct.
means yourself. It could
Yes.
mean so many different ways to think about that. So I love that.
Yes. And thank you for highlighting that piece, right?
Mhm.
Again, it is not for the sake of being affirmed or accepted or selected or any of those things. It is literally for the purpose of self. When I am good, so I talk about spheres of influence, right? So these conjoined circles, it's a circle, then there's a circle on top of that, and there's a circle on top of that. You're like, great, great, great. At the center of those circles, the deepest one is the self. The next is self and others, so interpersonal.
Yeah.
And then there is community, right? This larger sense of who we are. If I don't know who I am and how I desire to show up in the world,
Come on.
I am going to be challenged in how I engage with others. Dare I say, how I am able to partner with others so that I can have, or we can have, our designed impact in our communities. Because none of us belong to just one community. We belong to many communities. And so I intentionally place the S on the end so that everyone knows it's not just one community. I don't just stand in representation of a single entity. Again, I embody multitudes. I show up in several places and I am at home. And so I work really hard to be at home in all the places that I desire and I have been designed to be. So again, if I know myself and I know myself well, then I know how to be in the presence of others and I know how to teach others to be in my presence. And if the two of us are aligned in knowing ourselves and knowing how we want to be in each other's presence, we are unstoppable in the impact in our communities. Right? God, that's that God work again.
It goes back to the God work. We're finding God in ourselves. And I loved her fiercely. Yes, this is how we do that work.
Yes. It is exactly how we do this work. And I want us to do more of it. It's scary though. It's the hardest body of work ever.
It is. It's easier to do, I will say, in a trusted community. Because when you're doing it by yourself, sometimes there is work that is required for you to do on your own. Absolutely. There are also opportunities for conversations like these to take place where you write a letter and I get to see myself in that letter and then we get to get curious together. And it's not necessarily get curious to find the answer. It's like we're starting to unpack and then we might come back in 2 weeks. We might come back in 6 months. We might come back in a year and be like, and that's what my past self was trying to tell my future self. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Ooh, my goodness. We could go on and on and on in this conversation. If y'all don't already know, there is a whole other segment that happens behind the scenes on Substack. So if you haven't already followed me on Substack, make sure you make that happen because the conversations in that space is a whole nother thing. So make sure y'all follow me at Blue Bird's World there so that you can get a little bit more of a deeper dive into what we're talking about today, because we are just not scratching the surface. This is going to require a part 2, because when I tell you the questions and the things that came up for me just from the letter was beyond impactful. But to close us out, I would love for you to answer our last question for the evening. Why is the conversation about our liberation necessary? You've talked about a lot. We're gonna try to see if we can wrap it around and come on back to it, right? So why is the conversation about our liberation necessary?
So I can't find where I learned this. Healing, when an individual begins their healing practice, they heal 7 generations behind and 7 generations forward, right? I have to heal. I have to do this work. I do this work for the greats and the great-greats and the great-great-greats who held me in their bodies prior to me even knowing that I was.
Come on.
they seeded this liberation in me and the assignment that was appropriate, my God work, right?
Mm.
Because I love her fiercely. I love me fiercely.
Mm-hmm.
Is to do the work that is my work for me. So that I am saying thank you, right?
Yes.
And then saying journey mercies to those in front of me, 7 generations forward. Because
Yes.
it's extremely important that as I shift, I am shifting the energy, the atmosphere, all things that are I'm headed towards. I am the mother of 3 amazing game changers. I have 3 daughters. And that means I have 3 sets of eyes watching how I navigate this world in my audacious being, like this right here, it's upsetting. And I love it. And I teach my daughters, please go out there, cut up, act up, show what you have been gifted naturally to do. This liberation is what by any means necessary, friends. By any means necessary. It is deep in our DNA. Our ancestors did this for us. We are doing this for future generations. And I could not imagine future generations having to navigate even what we're experiencing now. I don't want that to be. So what am I willing to do? I am actually willing to be. I am showing the posture of gratitude. I am, taking the position of rest. I am, and listen, Trisha Hersey, right? Ebony Janice, listen. And I'm a bell hooks all through and through, right? Like we have great reminders, formal texts that have given us the memory of,
Yes.
and we're accountable to it. This is for us. It's been for us. It is ours. We walk in it as if it is now. And when we do, we make it so.
Whew. So it is. Leah. Thank you so much for being a part of my healing journey. Thank you so much for showing up for so many people and for saying yes today and for any time you said yes in the past and for all the times you will say yes in the future. I really hope you all are taking in this conversation here. Like I said, we are just scratching the surface and there is so much more to be said. If you want to follow Leah, I will definitely put her Instagram in the show notes. When she posts, you want to jot down the books that you see in her posts. You want to open them up. You want to read them. You want to have conversations. This is it's so necessary. It's so necessary. And if this conversation spoke to you in any way, please make sure you join us in 2 weeks as we continue our journey of healing, writing, and remembering. But before we close out, you know how I feel about your journaling and your journaling practice. Would you mind gifting the viewers a journaling prompt for them to consider?
Oh, this one you're going to be very familiar with.
Okay, let's go.
The prompt is, who are you? And how do you desire to show up today?
Every day. You can ask yourself that every single day, and you will come up with probably a new answer in one of those 2 categories. Can you repeat it one more time?
Absolutely. The journal prompt is, who are you? And how do you desire to show up today?
My goodness. I'm telling you, if you thought this was juicy, you want to make sure you join us for all about our liberations behind the scenes in Substack. And the conversation is going to continue. You all heard me drop a little gem about where this podcast even started. So the All About Our Liberation anthology will be out in 2026. So stay tuned for that. I just want to send you all off with all of the love and all of our liberation that we could possibly hold in our bodies. I want to let you know that I see you,
that you are not alone. And I really, really, really want to invite you to come fly with us. So until next time, I will see you in 2 weeks. Leah, thank you so much. And I will see you in the behind the scenes real shortly, y'all. All right, bye, y'all.
We've come to the end of our show today. If you missed any broadcasts, go to our website for the audio and video archives at www.thefemalesolution.com. On behalf of our team of radio hosts, I'd like to thank all of you who participated in today's discussions. And to our global family joining us from all around the world, we say thank you. To our family in China, xie xie. India, zhanyavad. Japan, arigato. Korea, kamsamnida. Russia, spasiba. Germany, danke. Poland, dziękuję. France, merci. Spain, gracias. Italy, grazie. Egypt, shukran. Ghana, madasi. Nigeria, eshe. South Africa, ngiyabonga. Senegal, jareth. Kenya, asante. Israel, toda. Pakistan, shukriya. Afghanistan, tashakur. Saudi Arabia and Palestine, shukran. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Thank you, and may peace be upon you and the mercy of God and God's blessings.